Ladies and gentlemen, Happy New Year, and what better way to start a new year, this fantastic year, than travelling to our favourite destination. Yes, the number one destination for Wendy Wu tours. It is Japan, and it is great, and it's ready for you in 2024. Really excited about this one today. Now, on today's show, we're going to be zooming off to Japan. We're going to be looking at the top tours in Japan, the tours that you need to do and see to get the best out of this amazing country. We're going to be looking at the best times to visit Japan. Do we go in the spring? Do we go in the autumn? Is there a different time to go? We're going to be looking at all of that in today's show. And of course, we're going to be taking you on some of the top selling tours as well in Japan. Now, ladies and gentlemen, as always with our travel shows, there's lots to cover in the show, but please do stay with us until the end of the show, because that's when, you know the score, we're going to be opening up our VIP travel lounge. And that's your opportunity to talk to the Japan travel experts, the specialists, to find out when to go, the best excursions, the best activities. Everything that you need to know about Japan, you'll find out in that lounge. So please do stay with us until the end of the show. So yes, ladies and gentlemen, it's our fantastic Japan travel show today, where we're zooming around Japan, seeing all the amazing experiences, the iconic sites. It is so exciting. Now, ladies and gentlemen, some of you, or many of you out there watching, will have travelled with Wendy Wu Tours and will know all about Wendy Wu Tours, but we know that there's many new people today watching as well. That you're probably wondering, well, who are Wendy Wu Tours? What is all the fuss about with Wendy Wu Tours? Well, here with me now, real treat for you, ladies and gentlemen, it's Kate Rowe. Kate looks after the reservations team at Wendy Wu Tours, so when you call and you make your booking, Kate's team answer those calls. Kate also looks after the operations team here, who look after you when you're on tour and also when you come back from tour as well. Needless to say, Kate is a very busy lady. Kate, great to see you today.
It's great to be here, Andy. Yeah, very busy at the moment. I think particularly at this time of year, lots of customers are starting a fresh year and looking to make their travel plans for the year ahead or perhaps for the year after. So very busy at the moment.
Amazing. Now, ladies and gentlemen, I'm sure you see Wendy Wu Tours, you see the name everywhere. Kate, it seems to be everywhere at the moment. But tell us, what is so special about Wendy Wu Tours?
Well, some of the customers watching today will have travelled with us before, as you say, but for those customers that haven't and they're new to Wendy Wu Tours, I'll try and summarise it for you. So Wendy Wu Tours offer fully inclusive tours all around the world, but we are an Asia specialist. And in fact, we're the UK's #1 tour operator to Japan, which is what we're here to talk about today. We have a fantastic product team that design our tours, and they spend weeks researching the best places to go, the best things to do, the best places to stay and to eat, to design these itineraries for our customers. So it really does take all of the hard work out of travelling to Japan. Our tours include everything from the moment you leave the UK. So the price that you see in our brochure or on our website includes your return flight from the UK out to Japan. It also includes all of your accommodation, all of your sightseeing and activities, all of your food, and it also means that you have one of our fantastic guides with you along the way. And our guides are local guides, so they really can help you get to hidden gems on the itinerary, take you out to some fantastic restaurants to eat, and really help you understand the culture and get under the skin of the country that you're visiting. I'll tell you a little bit more about the itineraries. We like to jam-pack them with experiences, and we really do search out activities and experiences that you wouldn't be able to do if you were just travelling somewhere on your own. So when you have a look at an itinerary in one of our brochures, you'll be able to see what activities are on that tour. It might be a cookery class, it might be a calligraphy lesson, or understanding the art of an ancient tea ceremony. So lots of different little experiences that we like to jam-pack the itineraries with, so that you can really understand a bit more about the culture of the place that you're visiting. I'll also just touch on the meals, because food is really important on our tours. And again, we've taken the hard work out of that, because our local teams in Japan, along with our teams here in the UK, have worked out the best places to go, the best food for you to try. And so you don't need to have that guidebook and a map and trying to work out where you are and where to eat. It's taken care of. You've also got that lovely experience at the end of each day where you get to sit with your whole group and with your guide and really like unpick the details of that day and talk about your highlights and share your photos from your phone or from your camera around the table. So we find that including the meals on our tours really adds that something special to every single day.
Okay, sounds fantastic and great fun.
Absolutely.
So ladies and gentlemen, yes, we've done lots of travelling in Japan today, and you've found out why to travel to Japan, why Japan is so important and so special with Wendy Wu Tours, but we want to know, how do we do it? I've got Lee here. Lee is our Japan travel specialist, and we're going to be talking, Lee, about Wendy Wu Tours' #1 flagship Japan tour, which is Japan Uncovered, Lee.
Yep. Hello, Andy.
Hello, Lee. Good to see you.
Hello, everybody. Yes, so let's talk about Japan Uncovered. This is our most popular tour of Japan. 17 days, fully inclusive, and if you're looking to really get the absolute best out of Japan, see everything there is to see about this place and really get to know the country, then Japan Uncovered is the tour for you. So the tour starts in Osaka, one of the most cosmopolitan cities in Japan. It's also a real foodie capital, so the food down here is absolutely incredible. After some days enjoying the Dotonbori district, enjoying the food there, we then move from there onto Nara, once the ancient capital of Japan. Beautiful place full of fantastic gardens, old temples that are really spectacular sights. So just in the first few days on the tour, you get to experience modern Japan and ancient Japan as well. Nara's also famous for its herd of tame deer that wander around the whole city. They're considered sacred, so they can just do as they please, essentially. So take some rice cakes with you and the deer will bow for a rice cake. So it's a really lovely experience. From Osaka, we then move on to Himeji Castle. So one of the oldest castles in Japan, a real spectacular sight towering over the landscape. From there, we move on to Hiroshima. Most of us know Hiroshima from the atomic bomb blasts, and actually these days it's a beautiful modern city, very green, very open, and the museum there, which details the horrific parts of that day, it's actually a very moving experience, really well worth visiting Hiroshima. Many tours of Japan don't go there. We're one of the few operators that do, and it's a wonderful insight into quite a dark part of Japan's past. It's also the gateway for Miyajima Island. Sacred island, you've probably seen it in lots of Japan photos with a floating torii gate, but it's a lovely old spot, temples, old shops, shopping streets there, and a walk along the waterfront there looking out over the floating gates, a really iconic moment for Hiroshima. From Hiroshima, we hop onto the bullet train to Kyoto. So again, the bullet train, a great insight into modern Japan, and yes, it is as exciting and smooth and seamless as you would expect for Japan. Obviously, it goes on time to the second. Watching the countryside speed by is just a really nice way to experience this part of Japan. So then, from most modern into Kyoto, ancient capital of Japan for over 1,000 years, and it's a wonderland of temples, historic gardens as well. So we really dive into the culture in Kyoto. We experience a tea ceremony with a tea master there, and we get a real insight into some of the beautiful gardens that are in Kyoto and the most historic temples as well. From Kyoto, we then start getting into Kanazawa, which is again a nice historic old town, home to one of the great gardens of Japan, the Kenroku Gardens. So Japan, as we all know, has got beautiful gardens, so symbolic, so culturally significant, and we'll get a real insight into Japanese culture when we tour around these places. From Kanazawa, we move up into the mountains, Japanese Alps. I think a lot of people are not necessarily aware quite how mountainous and quite how scenically spectacular Japan is. If you're not in the cities, you're in the mountains, forest clad, just traveling between places is a real joy to just gaze out the window and watch it going by. As we travel up into the mountains though, we've got one thing in mind, and that's the snow monkeys. You may have seen these Japanese macaques. They often bathe in the hot springs in the winter, and they come down off the mountains, large troop, but even in the summer, it's a really magical day. You walk up through the bamboo forests into the high mountains, and you'll see the Japanese macaques playing around. The troop is just a really fun day, quite a memorable experience. From Nagano, we move on to Mount Fuji, obviously a real icon of Japan. We get to see it from afar and we get to see it up close as well. We go up to the 5th station of Mount Fuji, got spectacular views of the countryside around, but we also explore the lakes and the area around Mount Fuji as well, 5 lakes. So ride a cable car ride, we get really beautiful views of the mountain itself, and we also get to explore the countryside around there too. And again, another contrast, we go from Mount Fuji onto Tokyo, the most futuristic, high-tech city you're ever likely to imagine. So we throw ourselves into Tokyo, we go up the Tokyo Tower for fantastic views of the city. We go to the Shibuya crossing, which I think will be famous. A lot of you will see all these pictures of people moving around on the crossing. But we also see the ancient side of Tokyo as well. You can see the temples and the ancient shopping streets there too. We finish up in Tokyo with a cruise on Tokyo Bay, which is a wonderful way to finish this incredible tour, looking out over the bright lights of Tokyo and thinking about the amazing adventure that you've had in Japan.
So ladies and gentlemen, yes, Japan, a country full of wonders and surprises. It is a long way to travel and you want to make sure that you go at the optimum time to see everything that there is in Japan. Kate the expert here on Japan. Kate, when is the best time to travel there?
Well, Andy, Japan has a lot to offer, and so it's a good place to go to year round, depending on what you're looking for. A particularly special time to go can be springtime. As if on cue, some beautiful pictures have appeared behind me of the cherry blossom season. So Japan is very well known for its cherry blossom season, and it's a really special time of year for Japanese people. It's a very celebratory time, and it can be really special to witness that. The trees obviously all come out in this beautiful blossom, and Japanese people all gather with friends and family to picnic under the trees and really enjoy that special time of year. So lots of our customers do choose to travel in cherry blossom. Cherry blossom is almost sold out for this year, but there are a few spots left. So anybody that is watching this and hoping to still get away for cherry blossom this year, please do give us a phone call and we will find a spot for you. And I would say that cherry blossom in 2025 is also selling really, really quickly. So also do give us a call if that's something that you're keen to book. We've even already started to take bookings for cherry blossom 2026. It's a really popular time. The other incredibly popular time to travel to Japan is for the autumn leaves. So for customers that want to see those same trees that came out in beautiful blossom awash with beautiful autumn colours instead, then autumn is a great time to go. Really, really stunning. And the sites can be a little bit quieter, which can actually be a benefit to some of our customers. Final note, which is something that I know we're going to hear about later on today's show, is for something a little different, you could consider spending Christmas in Japan. And we have a Christmas in Japan tour that we'll be talking about a little bit later on.
So ladies and gentlemen, I hope you're enjoying this spectacular Japan travel show today. We've already seen the iconic attractions, the excursions, and it is an amazing country, as I'm sure you'll agree. But yes, traveling to Japan, traveling to Asia, it's a long way. We fly a long way. So if you want to make the most of it and see everything that we can and make it a dream holiday of a lifetime, Lee, burning question, how can we do that?
Well, what we'd recommend, Andy, is that you combine Japan with one of its fantastic neighbours. We've got a couple of fabulous tours that combine Japan with its close neighbours that are very culturally different, even though geographically they're very, very close. First of all, let's start off with China. We have a beautiful tour called Ancient Empires of China and Japan. The tour starts out in Beijing, so you have all the wonders of the Forbidden City. Great Wall of China, the historic heart of China for thousands of years. From there, we fly down to Xi'an. Now, Xi'an, of course, is famous for the Terracotta Army, which guard the Qin Emperor, and it's an incredible site in itself, but only discovered in the 1970s. Xi'an also has a beautiful historic wall, and the city itself is a real highlight. From there, we fly from Xi'an down to Guilin, scenically beautiful part of southern China, which you'll probably have seen on artwork from China, pottery, an absolutely beautiful part of the world. So we also go to Yangshuo, a little bit more off the beaten track, do a wonderful cruise down the river, and from there we have a real change of pace. From Yangshuo, we travel up to Shanghai, super futuristic city, incredible skyline, towering skyscrapers, but also part of the Bund there as well, so you see some of the Art Deco architecture as well, a really vibrant, exciting city. So with the highlights of China ticked off, we then hop over the sea straight into Osaka. And we know a lot of the highlights in our Japan Uncovered, this tour also takes those in as well. So Osaka is a great foodie capital. From there we go to Miyajima, a sacred isle with a famous floating torii gate, up to Hiroshima, where we spend 2 nights exploring the really moving atomic bomb museum there. We travel up into Kyoto, historic heart of Japan, spend 2 nights there exploring the temples and the gardens before we move on to Mount Fuji. Iconic site for Mount Fuji, also a very beautiful scenic area around there as well. Tour ends in Tokyo, largest city in Japan and one of the biggest cities in the world. really exciting part of Japan, and it's a really memorable end to a fantastic tour. So, next up, we have Essence of South Korea and Japan. Again, two countries that are very, very close geographically, but culturally very, very different, and both fiercely proud of their own history and culture. It's a fascinating combination, this one. The tour starts out in Seoul, amongst the skyscrapers, nightlife districts, and the colossal shopping malls. There's an exceptional amount of culture and tradition, from busy tea houses to magnificent palaces. We enjoy a full day tour of Seoul, starting at the Gyeongbok Palace to watch the changing of the guards ceremony, and then visit the palace itself. We attend a cooking class, and then we also enjoy panoramic city views at the Seoul Tower, and visit the Insadong Antique Alley, renowned for its art products and traditional Korean antiques. After a day in Seoul, we visit the DMZ, created as a buffer zone between North Korea and South Korea at the end of the Korean War. The demilitarized zone is part of the most heavily militarized borders in the world. We'll get to explore the theatre and exhibition hall, walk along some of the infiltration tunnels, and visit the observatory and station and see the Bridge to Freedom. From Seoul, we take the train to Gyeongju, a city of cultural and historic relics. Gyeongju is called the Museum Without Walls. It's capital of the kingdom for over 1,000 years. The city's home to a staggering number of tombs, temples, statues and ruins. It's also the magnificent World Heritage Bulguska Temple, considered the pinnacle of Silla architecture. From there, we then travel on to Busan. It's a city full of character and traditional features, as well as mountains, beaches, temples and exquisite seafood. In the afternoon, we visit the Jigaochi fish market, browse the wares there, head up to Dongbaksom Island, soak up the peaceful nature before feeling the sand between your toes. After a week in Korea, it's time to say goodbye to Korea and hello to Japan. We fly down into the south of Japan and then work our way up through the delights of the Golden Route, taking in Hiroshima, Miyajima, Kyoto, Osaka, Mount Fuji and Tokyo. And we'll spend 16 days in total on this superb holiday. And I think you'll agree that it's a really unique combination few people get to experience, and it will leave you with some incredible memories.
Now, ladies and gentlemen, we love the bullet train in Japan. It really is a highlight. In fact, rail travel is a real highlight. And Lee, we're intrigued. Can we travel around Japan? Can we do it by rail?
We can absolutely do it by rail, Andy, and most of our tours in Japan will include at least one bullet train experience, as I was just talking about for the Japan Uncovered. But if you want a real in-depth exploration of Japan, then I think you should go for our Japan by Rail tour. It's a 21-day tour that takes in the three main islands, Kyushu, Honshu and Hokkaido, and much of the journeys are by bullet train there as well. So don't worry, this is not a train spotter's trip. This is just the best way to get around the country. So if you imagine the tour takes in all of the highlights that we talked about for Japan Uncovered, what we call the golden route through Honshu, but it also goes to some lesser known spots as well. Starts out in the south in Kyushu, goes down to Nagasaki. You'll see a part of the island there that's a bit more subtropical down in the south, travels all the way up through to Tokyo and then keeps going. heads up into the north to Matsushima Bay, Sendai, and then over into Hokkaido as well. So you'll get to see all of the iconic highlights, you'll get to travel on the bullet trains, and you'll get to see parts of the country that few people ever visit.
And I know rail is something big. I mean, it's hugely populated, and we love travelling on by the train. Is there more from Wendy Wu Tours in terms of rail?
You're right, Andy. I think this rail travel is one of the hottest travel trends at the moment. And as always, we're right at the front of it. So our Japan by Rail tour has been one of our most popular tours for years now. And we're delighted to be expanding our rail collection. We've already launched India by rail. You can travel around China by rail as well on that ever expanding high-speed network. And we've got lots more to come. So look out for Taiwan, Vietnam, Southern India, Canada, Peru. The collection is going to be absolutely incredible. And we're going to launch that in a week. So look, watch this space.
Lee, sounds amazing, ladies and gentlemen. Watch for those new rail tours coming. Thank you, Lee.
Thanks, Andy.
So, ladies and gentlemen, yes, Christmas may be over, but we're already thinking ahead. We're thinking about Christmas 2024 and indeed 2025. And it is not too early, ladies and gentlemen, to start planning for that very special Christmas. And what better way to spend Christmas this year or in 2025 than Christmas in Japan? Would you get it? Christmas in Japan, how amazing is that? And here to tell us all about Christmas in Japan is Gary King, our Japan specialist at Wendy Wu Tours. Gary, great to see you.
And you, Andy. Happy New Year.
Happy New Year to you too. So I'm really excited about this because Christmas here was great, but let me tell you, Christmas in Japan, doesn't that sound good? Gary, what's it all about?
Well, absolutely. It's a sensational time to go to Japan. It's actually a quiet time to visit Japan. So I think that's one of the real benefits about actually visiting Japan at that time of year. We have a superb tour, Christmas in Japan, which incorporates all of the places you would expect to go, and particularly great if you are a first-time visitor to Japan. But like with all of our Christmas collection tours, we kind of really give them something very unforgettable that makes it very special with that twist of Christmas involved in it. So maybe just to, as well as, you know, Tokyo and Mount Fuji and Kyoto, Osaka, Hiroshima, maybe just to pull out some of the real sort of special parts for me about Christmas in Japan with Wendy Wu Tours. And the first thing is Christmas Eve. We have a very special day. So you start your day off with doing the origami, the art of paper folding, and you visit the temple, the very famous Fushimi Inari temple, which has the 10,000 red gates, which is the perfect photo opportunity. So it's a great start to Christmas Eve. And so then continuing Christmas Eve, which of course is in Kyoto, which is, you know, such a beautiful, beautiful city within Japan, where you really get to experience the full culture. We have a fantastic Japanese restaurant, so a feast within a Japanese restaurant for the evening of Christmas Eve. And then Kyoto really comes alive with street illuminations and Christmas markets, so there's a real buzz about the place on Christmas Eve. And then we move to Christmas Day, which again is incredibly special. We take you to one of the temples, which actually has the most famous Zen garden in the whole of Japan. So a very peaceful start to Christmas morning. And then it's a transfer to Osaka, where actually you board the world famous bullet train, which anybody that's experienced that, it needs no introduction whatsoever. And then the bullet train takes you down to Hiroshima, which I'm not going to give too much away about Hiroshima because this is more about Christmas, but it really is a sensational place to visit, and you have to have that included within your itinerary for Japan. Once you arrive into Hiroshima, we have a superb Christmas Day planned, sort of back end of the day, whereby actually we've got a Christmas dinner cruise pre-planned, and this is completely unique to Wendy Wu Tours. And it's the best way, an incredible way to experience Hiroshima Bay from the sea, looking back at Hiroshima. Superb.
Ladies and gentlemen, doesn't that sound fantastic? Christmas in Japan. I know I'm going to be going there for that. Sounds amazing. But Gary, I know Wendy Wu Tours have gone big on Christmas now.
Absolutely.
Absolutely.
Absolutely. So just this past Christmas, we operated 5 tours, absolute sellout tours, which were superb. We've actually doubled up for 24 and 25 already. We now have 10 tours on sale. So we've got 10 spectacular, very special crafted tours just for Christmas across the world. So incorporating destinations, we've got 2 to India this year, we've got Sri Lanka, we have 2 fantastic tours to China to experience either the pandas or Winter Wonderland. You know, it's really worth looking at the website for these. As well as new destinations like Turkey, Thailand, South Africa. I absolutely would suggest everybody gets looking at that website, and certainly if it's for 2024, we will be selling out very, very quickly.
I've been very fortunate that I've had 2 long tours already with Wendy Wu, 4 weeks in China and 4 weeks in South America, both on my own, and they were absolutely fantastic, to the extent that I almost don't want to travel with any other company now, because I just feel everything is so well organised, from the initial booking to getting safely back to England. The guides are superb. The range of activities suits me perfectly. So there's some history, some geography, quite a lot about the culture of the area, the opportunity to try things, whether it's dance, music, cooking. Every day brings a new delight, really. And I do feel so well looked after. If there's any sort of problem, like in the run-up to this trip, I was worried about COVID and what would happen if I tested positive, what would happen if I had to isolate. And the logistics department answered all my queries immediately and was so reassuring and made me feel confident that people would help me every inch of the way. And that has been the case, actually. It's been marvellous to be so well looked after. I love that the meals are included, so I don't need to start wandering around at night on my own, trying to find somewhere for dinner in a strange area. I love it that all the entries are included, so there's not this big debate about should I, shan't I, how much is it going to cost, how much money do I need to take with me. I've hardly spent anything, to be honest, just incidental expenditure. So I think the value for money, which is not my main priority, but it is also extremely good.
Ladies and gentlemen, isn't that one of the best shows that we've had so far? Our Japan extravaganza travel show today. Really enjoyed that. I'm a bit exhausted after all that travelling, aren't you? And now, ladies and gentlemen, it is that time. It is the VIP Travel Lounge. Yes, your chance now to meet the travel experts, to ask all those burning questions that you want to know and find out about Japan following today's show. Now, just scroll down the screen. Yes, you know the score. Scroll down your screen. You'll see that big red button. Press that red button and you'll be taken instantly through to the Travel Lounge. And like I said, your opportunity there to meet the experts and ask those questions. And don't be shy. It really is a good opportunity to talk, meet the experts, and also to meet our fellow travellers as well. It's so much fun. I'm going to see you in there now, so let's head over to the VIP Travel Lounge.
We found Wendy Wu to be spot on from start to finish, with all the actual interactions from the booking to the preparation for the trip, to arriving at the airport. It's been painless and faultless. Wendy Wu, they really do look after you.
I've been on other tours before, and yeah, Wendy Wu definitely includes sort of a lot more. It makes it a lot easier.
I liked the idea of what Wendy Wu offered. They have an excellent reputation. So I looked at a number of other tour companies, but Wendy Wu seemed to be the best.
Everything being included is really important. It makes it very easy, and you don't have to worry.
I just felt confident that that Wendy Wu would know, the best places to go and the best things to do, and it's proved so far on the trip. It's proved correct.
I've been really impressed with not only right from the start when I rang up to book. The staff in the office were really helpful, just kind of organising things and making sure that we got all the right paperwork in.
Our national escort was Lily. Lily's been fantastic, so full of energy and so helpful. She calls us Lily's family. She's always referring to us as Lily's family, and I think she's really helped us actually bond as a group, which made the whole trip much more enjoyable.
The Great Wall was extraordinary. It genuinely brought tears to my eyes, looking out and understanding the history, and just seeing how it was built in inhospitable terrain across the mountain ridges. It was awe-inspiring.
Wendy Wu's staff, the local guides, our national guide Lily, they've been more than helpful on many occasions, and they have done absolutely everything they can to ensure that we've had the trip of a lifetime.
I hugged a panda, which was an amazing experience and one that I will never forget.
I recommend Wendy Wu Tour to everybody, and tell them that if they want to go to China, nobody better than Wendy Wu Tour.
I will recommend Wendy Wu. It's been a terrific experience with them. I've been very pleased.
Oh, fantastic. Absolutely fantastic.
I'd recommend it to people that want to go on an adventure and visit somewhere they'd probably only see once, but to see the authenticity rather than just the tourist highlights that you could see on the internet.
I will certainly recommend Wendy Wu tours when I go back to England. In fact, I'm sure we'll be going on more Wendy Wu tours because we want to go to Vietnam and other places, and I'll see Wendy Wu do those tours, so we'll certainly be booking again with Wendy Wu.